Hey, Ray.
Yes.
Philly's going to be so unbearable now.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in traffic-riddled California. Join my best friend over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles!
My best friend, Elias.
Woo!
Philly's always unbearable.
Ray, ask me how I'm doing today, Ray.
How are you doing, Lee?
Buddy, I'm doing pretty well. You know, listen, Super Bowl victories don't solve all the problems, but they do give you a little bit of happiness for an amount of time. The euphoria doesn't last forever, but boy, was that a fun game for only people in Philadelphia. It wasn't a fun game for football fans. It wasn't a fun game for Kansas City fans. But if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, man, listen, let's just dive in. By the way, just for those of you watching the show, we always print out our rundown. I got my rundown right here, Ray. Today's rundown. Wait a minute. That was last week's rundown. Here it is, Ray. This week's rundown. Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. All right, listen.
It is going to be a football-heavy show for
sure.
Be
an annoyingly heavy Eagles show.
Yes.
But listen, people listening, hear me out, because there's a lot. I'm going to give different takes today than I think that you're hearing on the TV. All right. The Eagles absolutely dominated the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, 40-22. That makes it look closer than it was.
Yeah, that couple of garbage time touchdowns there.
They could have easily put up 50 points, I think, if they really wanted to.
Yes.
And the two touchdowns that they got at the end were more give us the ball back touchdowns, which is really not great in a Super Bowl environment, but that's the truth.
This game was so out of hand that Kenny Pickett played the last two drives of the game for the Eagles
in the Super Bowl.
This was a preseason-esque blowout. I can't remember the last time a team. I mean, this goes up there with the Seahawks beating the Broncos 43-8, the Ravens beating the Giants. It was a 31-7, 34-7. This goes back. This harkens back to an era of football. This harkens back to the 80s, where every other Super Bowl was a blowout of some sort.
But
this was an embarrassment for the Chiefs.
It was. And I don't want to rank them per se, but the thing that this one had was the denial of that three-peat, which I'm not going to make it about. No. But that adds a little something to it. Like, this was not just some
extra sauce on top.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a dynasty team. They are a dynasty team, whether they win or not right now.
They've been to 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls, and they've won, 4 of the last 6 and won 3.
Right. The funny thing going around Philly right now is that now we're 2-time dynasty deniers, because 3-peat deniers, because we beat the Pats too, obviously. Right. But here's the thoughts I have. And again, look, we're not going to get into deep analysis here. You can watch all that on the TV. Mm-hmm. Ray, the thought that creeps into my head, there's a thing that we call Philadelphia pessimism. All right. Mm-hmm. Which we've all earned over that 27-year, 26-year time period. We won nothing. We watched everybody else win but us. Literally everybody. The Cowboys won. The Washington football team, formerly called the Redskins, won. The Giants won. But we didn't win anything. We got close. So, and this isn't true in just football. I mean, like the Mets had done well. The Yankees had done well. It's just everyone around us had won. The Devils. It's just Rangers in that time period. It doesn't end. So I think people my age and older have this, maybe we'll win. I don't want to get ahead of myself. And it was funny, Ray, because watching this game, at halftime, I felt like, okay, this was my thought. You were like, this is over. And I'm like, well, Chiefs are a good team. They always come back. This is a nice lead. Looking back at it now, I'm like, oh, man, we were dominating at halftime. And then, pretty early in the third quarter, it started creeping in my mind of like, we're going to win this game. This is not going to be close. You're going to laugh at this. Never experienced that feeling ever in my life in any championship environment. It was completely new and extremely uncomfortable sitting there like, oh, we're going to win.
Yep.
I've never felt that. I know you have felt that many times with some of your championships, but it didn't.
Mostly with the Yankees.
Yeah, it didn't suit the Philly pessimism well to be like, oh, we're just going to win. So that's the first thing. Here's a question for you, okay?
Yes.
And this is why I bring up the Philly pessimism. Because in my analysis, in your analysis, it was like, well, this will probably be a close game. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
With a hindsight 2020 thing now, and this is where I want to know if this is unfair. I think that it might have been more obvious than not the Eagles were going to not just win this game, but do very well. I don't think the domination of this loss was expected. But, the Chiefs built their team and their defense at the Super Bowl to take out Saquon, which did somewhat effectively. I mean,
they held them to under 100 scrimmage yards.
Yeah.
They held them to under 60 yards rushing. They did take Saquon primarily out of the game.
They did.
The problem is you saw this once in the regular season, is that everybody was talking about to run first offense, and then the next week Jalen Hurts put up 300 yards and A.J. Brown had 100 yards receiving, and it was no, it's an offense that can kind of score almost at will via however they want to. And again, their only loss since the bye week was the game that Jalen Hurts got hurt against Washington.
Right.
That still needed a miracle comeback to be finished off.
I mean, they have been dominating teams. And again, look, they dominated the Ravens. They were dominating really good teams. And again, we all had the regular season. Oh, that was a good game. But look, a few things. What the Chiefs kind of, I guess, accidentally or rightly exposed was if you take out Saquon, we have a lot of other weapons.
Yeah.
Because you take out Saquon, guess what? Jalen's running.
Yeah.
You want to come after Jalen? He's throwing. I mean,
Jalen Hurts set a yards record for rushing as a quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And he had more rushing yards than Saquon because, to your point, Kansas City queued up and focused on Saquon.
Yeah.
And then there was these massive running lanes in the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And Hurts took them. I mean,
so I'm saying that maybe that, and then you have to talk about the offensive line being the biggest and tallest offensive line in history, obviously.
Yes, they actually showed that stat in the game.
Yeah,
the first Super Bowl offensive line.
The Eagles had too many weapons on offense. Now, with that said, our offense played great. Our defense played great. Like everyone, special teams, everyone was firing on all cylinders in this game. You can't look at one or the other.
That's really what I want to focus on. Is that people are ragging on the Chiefs' defense, but I don't blame the Chiefs' defense because 14 of your points were scored because of those 2 interceptions.
That's a lot.
And that's a lot. And also the Chiefs' defense was on the field all the time because the Chiefs had 23 yards in the first half.
Yeah, it was
amazing. It was ridiculous. The last time the great vaulted Bears defense of 1985, the last time a team got held to 1 first down in the first half was Super Bowl 20, Bears versus Patriots. That's how lopsided your defense made this look. To me, and I get why Jalen Hurts won the MVP.
Sure.
But as for the public vote, my vote was Josh Sweat with 2.5 sacks.
That's amazing.
Because to me, your defense won you. Your offense played great, but your defense won you this Super Bowl hands down.
I would agree. I'm just saying, when I look at it as a fan, everyone was firing on all cylinders. That was a near perfect performance by a football team. And again, they have been crescendoing towards this for a while. And that's why I said, hindsight, I'm like, man, this was not a hard pick. Like, the Eagles were clearly the better team. Now, listen.
Yeah.
If the Chiefs show up a little bit more, that was not their best game. I'm not saying that they threw their best at us.
No.
But I still don't think they win that game. I mean, the storyline was stronger for the Eagles. I know there's some reports that Mahomes is seriously injured, but who isn't this time of year? I'm not taking that away.
I think he might be injured after 6 sacks.
Yeah, I don't buy that he was not ready to go.
Yeah, and the thing is that you look at that, the thing is that, and the Eagles said it, is that they said it we had the game plan all along.
Yeah, they knew they were going to win.
We knew the Chiefs' offensive line was weak.
Yeah.
You moved all pro, and this is actually something that Booger McFarland said on ESPN, and I agree with him 100%. You took an all-pro left guard for the Chiefs in Joe Thuney and moved him to left tackle because you had a massive hole there. But what you ended up creating instead was 2 holes. Because Joe Thuney's a guard, he's not a tackle. The left side of that line could not hold up the whole day. You guys blitzed 0 times.
0 times. And got so many sacks.
It reminded me of the Giants in Super Bowl 42 that beat the undefeated Patriots.
Yeah.
Right? It was the NASCAR defense. It was Justin Tuck and Strahan and Human Yor. You were able to get pressure on one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time with just a 4-man rush.
Yeah.
And you made him move all the time. And every time Mahomes stepped up, your defensive tackles were there. Like, he had no time. And again, that's why, to me, I mean, obviously Cooper DeJean with his interception.
Oh, it was insane. That was insane. Pick 6.
But and again, and that's why I said at halftime, I said this game is over, because when it was 17-0, I was like, if the Chiefs score here and then get the ball to start the second half, this game isn't over. Sure. But then he threw the second interception. Yeah. The ball on the linebacker. And I'm like, oh, that's it. That's it. Because then you scored again. It was 24-0.
You said that to me. I still had a little more like.
No, you got the Philly pessimism. I get it. But looking at it as a football fan, I'm like,
no, they were not.
There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way that this Chiefs offense that has struggled to score the whole year, by the way. People forget the Chiefs struggled. The offense never scored more than 30 points. Aside in the play, they scored it against the Bills in the playoffs. But aside from that, this Chiefs offense struggled to score 30 points the whole year against the best ranked defense in football.
Yeah, well, best team in football, and I think, like I said, we had an underdog mentality coming into this game. Yeah. And the truth is, the Eagles were not the underdog; they were easily the favorite to win this game with the hindsight 2020. All right, and I think that the season shows that. I think the way the Chiefs season went, a lot of last second wins, that came to bite them. It finally came to fruition,
right?
In the sense of, it brings up other questions like, man, what if the Bills won, right? I don't know if anyone could have stopped Philadelphia this year the way they looked in that final game. Well, and then Ray, they're so young. Like, I don't. Yes. A lot of people. dynasty. Like, I don't like to talk about dynasties.
Yeah, no. Like Brandon Graham and Lane Johnson, a couple of the elder statesmen will retire, but you will fill those holes very easily.
Yeah, and the youngest guys we have are some of our best players now. Jalen Hurts is only 27 years old.
Yeah, Saquon's still got good 2-3 years left of him. Cooper DeJean, your defense, like you guys. Yeah, you guys are in good shape.
We are set for a while. It does not guarantee anything. All right, it's just wow. I've never experienced anything quite like that as a Philly fan. Again, we're starting to learn how to win in this city. It's three championships since 2008. So you remember Ray is one of the few people who knew me prior to the Phillies winning, in the sense of what that was like for me, man. It was like year after year, you get so close, nothing.
Yeah.
And then to be fair, I had to be there for both Giants wins. I had to be there for the Devils winning. Like I was in enemy territory for all of those championships. So it's not that this is a rub in the face. It's just, oh man, this just feels so good to be a Super Bowl championship fan. No. I don't play for the Eagles, for those who don't know.
Yeah. But no, congrats, dude. Yeah, congrats. I mean, look, and he goes again, it says it again. I just want to talk about, I mean, look, the Eagles won this, but it also, to your point, you mentioned, what if the Bills had won?
Yeah.
What if the Ravens, the Lions, or even the Rams? Again, remember, Matthew Stafford was 20 yards away from winning that game in the second round against you guys. Yeah. Like, I really think that
we just got better and better as that playoff went on.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
It's amazing to watch. And look, this is what I'll say too, is that there'll be detractors that say, oh, you had an easy way to the Super Bowl. No. Guys, listen, we beat the Chiefs, 2-time champions. You can't take anything away from the Birds this year, okay? You can't take it. First off, that would also be insulting to the Commanders, who earned their right into that game.
Yeah.
Another up-and-coming team, by the way. That's going to be a fun rivalry moving forward.
Yes, Philly and Washington are going to be butting heads for a while as the Cowboys and the Giants continue to rebuild.
Yeah, and your time will come. I mean, what is the Giants' reaction to Saquon? Because again, my what I'm hearing is obviously it's rightfully devastating in the right ways for you, but most Giants fans seem pretty like, I'm happy he won. He's not a bad guy, Like,
I honestly, I'm not mad at him. I really don't care, Like, I mean, it's good. Yeah, good for him. I'm kind of just like, I mean, no offense. He's not a Giant anymore. I'm concerned with the Giants. Like, I'm glad for him.
I don't know why
he's not a bad dude. Like, I'm not wishing ill upon him. Right? Like, so like,
no, I don't think. Again,
I'm wishing more ill upon my GM than I am on Saquon. I was just going to say that.
I feel like there's more anger towards the organization itself at this point. Of like, how did you screw this?
We're not mad at the players. We're mad at the owner and the GM.
Yeah. I think you have a right to be after that. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. But wow, let's just give Howie Roseman a lot of credit for putting this team together.
Best GM in football.
How about this too? The Carson Wentz trade when we sent him to the Colts.
Yeah.
What that built in this current lineup. Well, there's only 4 players on this team that were on the 17 championship team. Think about that.
Yeah,
it's almost
Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson, and a couple others.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Yep. Right? It's amazing when you think about what they accomplished this season. But the Eagles, and I'm also proud that you and I tied in the.
Yes, we both finished 9-4 in our playoff picks. Which
that's not bad at all.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Good. And the ones that we didn't win were shocking to everybody. Like they come in.
Like Washington, Detroit. Yeah.
So, wow, what a great season! And I'll just say it as a Philadelphia fan, just such a wonderful feeling. Philly loves this team. They love the Eagles, and I got to bring it up again after Week 4, the uncertainty. We have got to give Nick Sirianni credit here for what he has accomplished this season, especially after somehow surviving last season and not getting fired.
Yeah.
But it's like he got the right coordinators, the right people. He put the pressure on himself, and he's a Super Bowl champion. He's young too. Yeah. Another young guy.
Yeah. And I mean, and speaking of your coordinators, Kellen Moore is likely going to be the coach of the Saints now.
Yep.
But also congratulations to Vic Fangio, who 38 years a coach in the NFL, gets his first Super Bowl ring as the defensive coordinator. He's an NFL lifer.
Well, he's an architect. He architected that defense too, and like you said, when they won the game. I mean, he might have been the MVP.
Yeah.
That actually brings up another question. Do you think the Super Bowl should have a offensive MVP and a defensive MVP, or just the one MVP?
No, I'm okay with just the MVP. I do wish though that there was less of an onus on the quarterback, because I feel like I feel like, and I get it because the defense played so well, it'd be hard to pick just one defensive player. But again, in my opinion, I voted for Josh Sweat because of 2.5 sacks.
Yeah.
And 6 tackles. Yeah. I mean, it's to me, I mean, I get it. If you want to look at one individual player, then I guess Hurts would have been the guy. Especially after that Smith touchdown.
Yeah, he earned it. He earned it. He earned the MVP. Same way Foles earned it in the last Super Bowl victory. Sure. I just think that, like, I don't remember the last time a defensive players won that. Do you?
No, that's the thing. It's been like, I think it's been like 30 years or something.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. I mean,
but to me, though, as good as your offense played, to me, it all starts with your defense.
Sure.
I said it last week. It was going to come down to the front four, getting pressure on Mahomes, but who would have guessed they would have had 6 sacks, the forced fumble, recovered fumble,
they bent him in half. It was
what? Oh my God, yeah, no, like I said, if he's hurt, he got hurt after or during the game, not before. Holy cow!
And then another stat that surprised me, Ray, and I mean that just surprised me with all the kind of hatred I was hearing before the game about just not wanting to see these two teams. Mm-hmm. Apparently, this is the most watched Super Bowl in history. Now that is a track that has trended over the years. I mean, it gets more and more popular every year.
Yes.
But I also think I'm going to guess, no one said this, I'm going to guess there's some better ratings now or better ways of figuring out how are you watching the game.
100%.
Because, obviously they're tracking YouTube TV and all the streaming now. But the most watched Super Bowl of all time, I wasn't expecting to hear that. So with this matchup, but interesting to say the least.
I mean, I think it's just like you said. I think it continues the trend. Everybody's watching it. It's an event. I think that some people were watching just for the halftime show as much as they were for the football.
Yeah, got a lot of. We can talk about that in a minute too. Go ahead.
I mean, look, you got the hottest artist in music right now for a variety of reasons. I personally could care less about the Drake and Kendrick beef.
Yeah, but people love it.
But people love it. I don't care. I have Kendrick Lamar's halftime show. Great, whatever. Okay, great. But I know a lot of people were very excited about that, to see him do what he did, which it was a great show. He did I thought he did a great show.
I like seeing Serena Williams. I'm a fan.
So I thought the Serena Williams thing was cool. I get it. You know what I mean? And then I think also, I texted you this. I think there was also just a lot of people hate watching. There's a lot of people
You're not wrong.
Hate both teams and wanted to see a train wreck.
Donald Trump. Philadelphia. Kansas City.
They just anything. There's a lot of things to hate on that Brad. Taylor Swift, everything. If you like to hate, this was the Super Bowl for you.
The Super Bowl of hate with the city of brotherly love.
Yeah,
I love it. Ray, also want to report to you. Okay, they have been warning us for years: don't climb the poles. Grease the poles. Don't climb the poles. And nobody climbed the poles this year.
Wow.
Instead, they took the poles out of the ground and walked away with the poles.
That's amazing.
I'm not kidding.
like field goal posts in a college celebration.
I'm not kidding. There were people walking down Broad Street with the light poles. They were not climbing them.
That amazing.
Arguably
Amazing.
more illegal, but also the most Philadelphia thing ever. People go, "Oh, they're looting." It's right. I haven't heard any. I've seen some broken windows and some crazy stuff downtown. Sure. I haven't heard anything like Philadelphia's rioting. Philadelphia's just being Philadelphia about this.
Yeah.
Parade's on Friday. I gave the employees the day off if they want it. I like to watch it on TV, which is what I'll be doing.
Yeah.
Right. Got a message from my kids' elementary school about it. They say that you can turn this into an educational experience.
Amazing.
Like, great.
Yeah. I went to the Giants Super Bowl 42 parade. That was the only parade I ever went to. Yeah, that was the only parade I went to.
Was it worth it?
Yes.
Yeah, why was it worth it?
It was an energy unlike anything I had ever felt.
That's cool.
It was just so many people happy at the same time.
Imagine that.
Right? And again, at this point, it's a parade, right? It's well past the celebrating, going crazy, shooting off fireworks stage. It's just people just happy and appreciative and like seeing their heroes, and just it was just really cool to like be in that shared moment with people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, like I mean, that is the one. That is why I will say, like if I did my one parade, that was special. Obviously, Super Bowl 42, knocking off the undefeated Patriots. I mean, we drank. The bars stayed open. Well, the bars stayed open. They locked the doors because they technically weren't supposed to be open. But if you were in the bar after closing time, like we drank till the sun came up. I'll never forget that. Me and a lot of friends from high school, we drank until 6 a.m. that night, and then we went to the local diner, and then we all went to bed about 7 a.m. when the Giants beat the Patriots. And then then a couple days later we had and I was at ESPN at that time, and them too. They were like, if you can get somebody to cover for you, go down to the parade. And me and a bunch of guys,
that's awesome, got
down there as fast as we could, and it just was really it was just really
cool. No, I'm glad. I think you're right. Look, sports brings people together. And the thing is that the highs are just as high as the lows are lows. So that was cool. Sure. And Philadelphia will celebrate on Friday. And then we're all undefeated again. And we'll move on to other sports. Speaking of other sports, it is the NHL break. Oh, wait, Ray has more football.
I wanted to get your quick opinion because we mentioned the Eagles.
My opinion is I really do like it when my team wins the Super Bowl. It's a great question. It's the best outcome. And I enjoy it. I will say this. Sorry, Ray. I know I just cut you off. I will say this. My friends of Cowboys, Giants, and Commanders fans have all congratulated me, and I do appreciate that. I didn't get too much sarcasm back. Yeah. I think we're all smart enough to know you don't talk crap after you win.
Yeah, we're all older and wiser now, and kind of
So thank you all who sent those messages.
Yeah. Speaking of older and wiser, though, very quickly, because we did just mention the Giants and some of their Super Bowl wins. There is a rumor going around that the Giants are talking to the Rams to send them a boatload of draft picks for Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp.
Well, that would be a mistake.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I feel like our GM is now in full blown. And I get not liking the current crop of quarterbacks. I also do not like, for the most part, the current crop of quarterbacks. But I feel like that would be such a panic move. And I have been saying, I also know that the Giants are a quarterback away. Build properly. Draft a franchise quarterback. Don't panic. Look, if you want to draft back from 3 and get like a boatload of picks back instead, I understand that, because aside from Cam Ward, I don't think any of these other quarterbacks right now that have declared are actually first-round picks at this point. I think the Giants could trade down, get themselves more picks later in the draft to continue filling holes, particularly in the offense, and you can get somebody decent at the beginning of the second round.
Right. Well, I think that, first of all, I don't think they're going to part with both those guys. I think that's extremely unlikely.
Well, the Rams have said they are trying to trade Cooper Kupp.
Sure. I don't think Stafford and Kupp would make any sense for that team. So I do understand the trade of Kupp, though. With that said, to trade, if that's real, you're assuming that you're 2 steps away from becoming a competitive team. And you're not.
No.
You're not even close.
Well, I think if the Giants had a quarterback, they'd be competitive, but they wouldn't. They'd be they'd be around 500. They wouldn't be. Yeah, they wouldn't be.
Well, and I'll say this: I don't mean to say you're not beating the Eagles with that team,
right?
Which you described. Okay, you're not beating the Commanders with that team.
No.
So I think Giants fans are pretty much settled on we need to rebuild.
This is going to take 2, 3, 4 years. Yeah.
Don't mess with that. You don't need to surprise everybody and come out and make the playoffs and lose. Right.
Right.
Like build your team the right way. You're the New York frickin' Giants.
Yeah.
Okay?
And this is the problem is that we haven't had anybody to build the team the right way in almost 10 years now.
Well, again, there's so much hype over those videos from Hard Knocks last year, whatever that was, that you gotta try and forget that now. And look, this guy's got another chance. Like really, I mean, he can redeem himself. To be fair,
I mean, Joe Shane is talk about having 9 lives. Like you are so lucky because again, I said it. I wouldn't have been surprised if they fired Shane, not Dable. To me, it's not.
You know
Dable's
what I think,
fault,
Ray? I think that they know what's going on. And it's like, if we fire this guy, we've just ended his entire football career. Yep. No one will ever hire him again.
Pretty much.
So, and again, I have a feeling that in the back office, they know, like, this isn't, the decisions he's made, while they look horrendous, maybe aren't the whole story here, right? There's a lot going on here. So, like, I like that they gave the guy a chance. They just did this with Sirianni, too. People were calling for his head at the end of last season.
Yeah.
All right. And look what just happened. So, we'll see what happens. But the typical New York, let's buy our way in, it rarely works. It's
I don't want to
plan.
I don't
want right? And let's be honest, it doesn't work in football. It works in baseball. That's about it. And basketball probably too. Okay.
Yeah.
But great stuff. Great season. It was a fun NFL season. Again, top heavy. Did not enjoy that aspect of it, but enjoyed the ending very much. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then now we all look to the draft and free agency.
So for football, right? Yeah. And it's going to be an interesting draft for sure.
Yes.
Moving on to another sport here. Interesting. New take this year. No NHL All-Star game. We are diving into the Four Nations Face-off, which will take place over 8 days. Finland, Sweden, Canada, and the United States facing off in a new format here that I am really excited about. I am really looking forward to this, but my partner in crime here, not so much.
Yeah, I really don't care. I really don't care about any of these all-star things. Like,
it's not an all-star thing.
It's kind of an all-star thing. But like, this is my thought. Honestly, I feel like the timing is not great. Okay. Because I feel like for hockey, I think this would have actually been better off during the week between the off week for football for hockey. And then now that football is over, it would have been better off for the NHL to have games that matter now to fill that gap.
Ooh, so I don't know if I agree with that. But here's the thing. I'll also say that's a very intriguing point. All right. So in my experience, as soon as the football season ends, hockey becomes very forefront in sports.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Hockey and basketball. It's hockey and basketball now.
So they're looking at this. Yeah. But I think they're looking at this as this is now a big boom to get back into the regular season. If you do it during the bye week, not the bye week, but the week between the Super Bowl, you're still looking at the Super Bowl, right? This is a big event. Everyone can get behind one of those teams in this. I mean, everybody in the USA can get behind USA.
Sure, I'm going to be rooting for USA, but I'm not going to be watching. But I'll be rooting.
Right. Well, yeah, we'll see about that. Maybe you will end up watching, depending on how this goes. Now, listen. This is what I'll say. This is not an all-star game, and the insider information that I have is the NHL wants to create their own World Cup of hockey and have it run every 4 years. The Olympics are becoming a problem with some of their destinations. It's not logical for the NHL to send their athletes to Pyeongchang or other places like that. So they're trying to build their own, basically, NHL version of the World Cup, which would be the greatest hockey players in the world competing.
Right.
That's what this is a precursor to, and that's what this is. Let's see how it does. All right. Remember, there's obviously no Russia, there's no Latvia, there's no Swiss. There's a lot of countries missing from this. Germany. So this is what's going to really be the show here. Do they play? Do they actually play? The problem with all-star games and the all-star tournaments was that they're not hitting each other.
Right.
And the game's getting tense in the $1 million game a little bit, but it's not the NHL.
Right.
My gut tells me, knowing hockey players, you put the Maple Leaf, the USA, the Somi, the Kings.
The three.
You're going to play. Yeah. You're going to play. Because now if you don't, you're not just disrespecting the all-star game. Now there's something higher on it. And I'll tell you what, Ray, the teams are bringing in all the stops. Like the USA team brought in the 1980 Miracle team. Like, people are showing up for this thing. So I have a feeling this is going to be way more intense than all-star level hockey. All right. No one wants to let their country down. And when you put on that uniform, it changes things. So it's an 8-day tournament. It's pretty simple. USA plays Sweden, Canada plays Finland, Canada plays USA, Finland plays Sweden.
Everybody plays each other once.
Yep. It's a round robin, and you get to playoffs, and then you're in a championship game for your country. I can't tell you who's going to win. Everybody loves saying, oh, obviously Canada's going to win. I can't tell you that. Nope. I mean, I can't tell you that. All right. I would not count out those Scandinavian teams, number one. All right. Number two, I said Philadelphia. USA has the best goaltending. Canada has Sidney Crosby. You guys, I don't want to say this. Sidney Crosby's not young. Okay. No. He's an older athlete. He's still great. He's still clutch. But these are great rosters. I mean, they have Austin Matthews on Team USA.
Yeah.
All right. But they do have Connor McDavid. You see where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah. This
could be a very good tournament. Okay. Now, I will say Canada and the USA have the stronger teams over Finland and Sweden. Sure. But you just never know what's going to happen.
You never know.
So I'm looking forward to this, and my hope, I hope it gets so intense that the USA is in the final, and that maybe there's an inkling of maybe I'll watch that. That could be a good game.
Depends on what else is on. Depends on the time.
Sure.
The first game is, because you also remember the first game is 5:00 my time tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just
which isn't fly over here. We can watch together. It'd be great.
Well, then it'd be 8:00. It'd be a lot easier. It'll be easier for me to watch it at that time.
I find solutions.
Yes. So, also, real quick, speaking of watching, before we move into the geek section, did you enjoy any commercials for the Super Bowl?
Oh, that's a good question. So this. It's always a little different when your team's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
When your team's not in the Super Bowl, you love the commercials. You're there for the commercials. Yes. When your team's in the Super Bowl, you're like, all right.
Whatever.
I want to go back to the game. The what was it? The Tostitos one was a little jarring. Not Tostitos. The alien that gets crushed by the ship.
Oh, the pizza rolls.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's kind of an old school commercial. I thought that was funny. My kids were like, what? What happened? I was like, they crushed the aliens, and then they were like, awesome. Like they so I think that worked. Which one stood out to you, Ray? Because like I said,
for me, this is easy. This is why I brought it up. Because I actually got a prop today. Because I always get Dunkin' before the show, of course the Dunkings $6 breakfast box now with Ben Affleck. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah,
the battle between the Dunkins coffees versus obviously the Starbucks.
Starbucks. And I mean, Belichick was great in that. Like,
Belichick was hysterical in that.
Yeah, they did a good job with that. I like the one, actually, speaking of that, right? I like the one with Matt Damon and Beckham. That was pretty cool. He's looked like Matt Damon. No, not really. I mean, I like those. Those guys seem to get that.
Yes.
But yeah, the Dunkings ones are really good. Somehow they've managed to create something really funny in that.
Yes.
But yeah, they were okay. I mean, the commercials weren't.
It wasn't a great year for commercials.
Yeah.
There was also a lot of commercials that kind of had like a message.
Yeah, the Tom Brady Snoop Dogg one, I thought that was actually pretty good, pretty powerful.
I mean they were well made. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But it was definitely less of an emphasis on comedy this year and more about bringing people together.
Yeah, which is good.
Freedom is not free.
I thought that was good. Like, the Harrison Ford
Jeep one was actually very very well done.
He's such a good actor. Like just the way he did that, it felt like my grandfather or grandmother was talking to me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it reminded me of my grandfather. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I never met my grandfather, so that's a pretty proud statement. Yeah, wow. I just like
Harrison Ford's your grandfather.
Even my last name's Ford. That was really good. That was just well done.
Yeah.
So he clearly doesn't give a shit anymore. It's awesome.
Yes.
But yeah, they were okay. They weren't. Winning the Super Bowl was the best part for me.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think that's fair. Yes, 100%.
Oh, and my son is old enough. This is cool. So you were with me the last time we won the Super Bowl.
That's right.
And my son had just turned 4 the day, or he was turning 4 the next day.
That's right.
He's 11 now.
Give him a Switch. Yeah.
You give him a Switch. Still have it, right? He plays it all the time. He's 11 now. Okay. Yeah. And so this was really his first championship he could enjoy.
Yeah, this one he'll remember.
Yeah. And what was cool is being there together in the championship moment. And then, Ray, I didn't say this in the open. We went outside right after. I told him, come outside with me. Yeah. And you could hear, it sounded like the end of Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Like people were coming out. You could hear cheers, fireworks going off everywhere. People honking on the streets were high-fiving. So people just screaming, go Birds. Like it was a really cool moment to kind of hear your town come to life. And obviously this was happening all over the Philadelphia area.
Yeah.
Right. But that's something I've never seen before, right? Mainly because I wasn't in Philadelphia the last time.
Right.
But like you come outside, it's like, oh my God, you can hear people everywhere. I mean, you really start to see what this means to people in those moments, right? But to hear the entire city alive outside at whatever time that was, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock probably.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Went down the street, high-fiving everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone was happy, like you said. That was a cool moment for me. All right. Geek section.
Yeah, we got not a lot in the geek section this week, but we're going to do a little bit of video game news. Actually, going to have a lot of video game news next week because we're getting a Sony State of Play tomorrow.
Great. So we'll finally see a workable Wolverine game.
Yeah, right.
Coming 2039.
Yeah. I mean, at least maybe something will work for Sony in that because Sony has had a really rough week.
Yes.
Because once again, the PlayStation Network has been down. And when the PlayStation Network is down, it basically means your PS5 is a big old paperweight.
It's weird, man. It's weird that could even happen.
And the thing is not only does it weird that it happens, but it always happens to Sony. Like, always. Like, knock on wood, Microsoft never has these problems. Nintendo never has these problems. But it always seems that Sony's getting bombarded by the DDoS attacks and all this other stuff. And this one took a long time for them to get back up and running. And people are kind of mad, and with understandably so. Some folks said that there might have been a leak of information.
Very possible.
It's very possible. We don't know the ramifications of this still. Like, it might take some weeks still. But PlayStation Network was down for a long, extended period of time. And this seems to almost be like an annual occurrence now for Sony, or at least biannual, like every other year, where it just seems like, oh, we didn't update our stuff again, and we got attacked again.
Yep.
So get your stuff together there, Sony. Maybe you should ask, I don't know, Microsoft and Nintendo for help, because again, it seems like they seem to know what they're doing. So
yeah, listen, I'm gonna say it again. People think I'm crazy. Sony's in trouble. This is not going to go over well. I heard rumors they're even looking at their next console already. I'm like, okay, guys, like, let's pump the brakes here. This is not smart business. So, that's a long time to be offline, man.
Yeah, I mean, they're the PS5 Pro was a disaster for them because again, you're getting diminishing returns from the hardware.
Yeah,
like they don't have any. So basically, people are like making fun of Microsoft for putting Microsoft games on Sony. This is a lifeline to Sony. Like the fact that they're like, I mean, this is they like otherwise, it's money in Microsoft's pocket. That's what they care about. Microsoft's like, oh, more money? Sure. Great. But like the fact that Sony has, I mean, again, maybe we'll see something special tomorrow. Maybe we'll see something that, and we'll talk about it next week. But Sony doesn't have anything impressive on the horizon right now that isn't Microsoft related. It's not a good sign, and that's not good business. Like in the industry, and especially in a time when the industry in general is hurting. The only place who's thriving right now seems to be Nintendo. Surprise, surprise. So,
sorry, my microphone was having problems there. Yeah, look, I completely agree with you. It's just a loss of direction, and again, it's also just the money, man. Like Microsoft has so much more than Sony. Yeah. It's not close for those who don't realize. It's not close. Yeah. All right. I mean, it's like the sun and the earth size difference. Okay. And Nintendo's in its own world. Literally and figuratively. So Sony, this is a rock bottom moment. We'll see if they bounce back again. But I just think PlayStation's days are numbered. I think that a merger or something like that is likely to happen. Or they're not going to be a console company anymore. But we'll see.
Well, I mean, the thing is like what's made Sony even last as long as they have is that they have the install base, right? They sold a lot of PS5s. They sold more than Microsoft and the Xbox Series X's and all that stuff. But the problem is that Sony has they stopped innovating. They're continuing to use the outdated model of system, half step with a Pro, and then another full system. And again, if you don't have the software, if you're not selling the games, you're not really making any money. I think I bought like 5 games. I play 100 games a year. I think 5 of them were on PlayStation.
Yeah, it tells you something. And their exclusives are just not strong enough to keep people coming back. And that's the problem. So we'll see what happens there. But a week-long outage, that's a problem. Yeah. And it can't happen.
Yeah. really bad. And speaking of, we mentioned Nintendo, we mentioned Microsoft, and we mentioned Sony. And actually, right now, I should mention. Let's see, we got 11 major companies have declared for this. So the video game industry has been looking to try to do something to replace E3, right? I think a lot of folks realize that while Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest thing is nice, it's A, not as big as E3 used to be. B, people do not want to be beholden to Jeff Keighley, who is basically the Elon Musk of the video game industry at this point. And I mean, and Jeff does, I mean, honestly, look, he doesn't put on a great show. He's doing it to line his own pockets more than he is to promote the video game industry, it feels like. So the video game industry is trying to take control, and they have announced the Interactive Innovation Conference. It's the Icon convention for next April 2026 in Las Vegas. And Amazon Games, Disney, Electronic Arts, Epic, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, Take-Two, which of course is the parent company of both 2K and Rockstar, Square Enix, even Warner Brothers Games, who I don't think will be around by next year, and Ubisoft, who I also don't think will be around by next year, have all declared for this, which is a big deal because that was one of the things that killed E3, was a lot of these companies starting to pull out of E3. So the fact that you have those 11 massive, massive game makers already on board is a good sign. We'll see what happens as we get closer. But I do think the industry needs something that is more industry focused and not necessarily press or user focused, to kind of be like, let's get together. And I know the DICE Awards do this a little bit, but the DICE Awards, it's also kind of like it's a weird thing because it's an awards show, but there's also a conference going on and there is some networking, and it's like something that is just solely dedicated to conventions and showing off new stuff and kind of like, what are we going to do to push the industry forward over the next year? I think is a good thing. It's particularly in a time when the industry as a whole is hurting so badly.
Right.
Lee, what are your thoughts on the ESA and everybody else trying to do this new convention called the Icon Conference?
I think forward progress is a good thing. I think that no movement is bad, right? And I think that that's where the gaming industry has been. It's been an actually negative movement. It's been going backwards.
Yeah.
So if you don't get some forward progress, pun intended, things are never going to change. So I like competition because competition creates results. Whether this is a direct competitor to Keighley or not, it's a good thing, right? It creates talk, it creates buzz, it creates results. And that's the gaming industry has got to do that. I also think the leadership has no idea what they're doing.
No.
With that realm. Okay. I think that leadership knows how to make a good game, but I don't think they know how to treat people, and I don't think they know how to push their industry forward. It's disgusting that an industry that large is having this many layoffs. Right. Yeah. And again, I know they're post-COVID correctional type layoffs.
Yeah, but it's not. I would say 10% of these layoffs.
Yeah. Now this is just poor management.
Yes, that is exactly what it is. It is, and it's particularly, and again, it is mostly on the European and North American side. It is just greedy C-suites that have made bad investments because they don't necessarily. They think that continued growth forever is the only way that this can work, and unfortunately, it can't. And you need to plan for plateaus, and you need to plan for that. Sometimes, yes. During COVID, there was like a ridiculous amount of growth in the industry. You had to assume that was going to slow down at some point. People weren't going to stay in their homes forever. Like, like,
no, they follow the money. When the money's there, they're not thinking that way, right? I'll be honest with you. So, anyway, I think it's a good thing. Forward progress sounds like someone's trying to innovate here. Yeah. But to answer your question, they don't plan for that. They people don't see that. It's ask for forgiveness later kind of attitudes. It's we're rolling in money. Let's do stuff with the money. I'm telling you, they don't plan for the future like that.
I mean, and this is according to Newzoo, the game industry in 2022 had $235 billion in revenue. $235 billion with a B. That's more than every major sport. That's more than the movie industry. That's more than the gaming industry, the music industry. And that's more than all of those combined.
Right.
Combined. But hey, we just lost 40,000 jobs in the last 2 years. But
weird.
Yeah, it's the greedy getting greedier. So speaking of the greedy, speaking of greedy and unrelenting growth, Marvel, the MCU. We are on the cusp of a slew of new Marvel movies. Just this week, Captain America. I'm not going to see it this week. I'm going to see it next week, because I got invited to a screening, and I'm poor right now. So if I can go to a screening for free, that's for me. So I'm going to wait a week to see Captain America 4. But yeah, we got Captain America 4 coming out this week. Lee, what are your thoughts on the next phase of Marvel?
The trailer. So it's Captain America 4, Thunderbolts, right?
Yes, and then Fantastic Four.
Yeah, it sure does feel like Marvel from before. It sure does feel like it's not the endless multiverse phase where it's like, where are we going? It sure feels like there's a story here that we want to watch and be told.
Yep.
All right. And that's what I'm most excited about. This Captain America film sure feels like a phase 2, phase 3 film. Thunderbolts feels like a phase 2, phase 3 film. Yeah. We'll see where Fantastic Four goes, but that also feels like we're back with RDJ.
It feels like we're big enough to building up to something. Yeah,
great. Which is they lost their way. They took almost a year off, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. In film. And that's what I'm hoping for. Like, let's get back on track, guys. We were really enjoying that. And you guys got too bloated, with your poor leadership. And now it feels like it's back on track. So very excited to see Captain America. And what I think is exciting, right, too, is not really sure where they're going to turn the story. The trailers for Captain America, the trailers for Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four look like great individual stories. And we don't really know how they're going to connect to the larger MCU. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the last MCU film was Deadpool. Right? I mean, which probably doesn't have too much to do with the larger MCU outside the anchor being comment. Right? So we'll see what happens here. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fantastic. I think. I'm really looking forward to. I think Thunderbolts is gonna be better. I'm most looking forward to Thunderbolts. I think Captain America is gonna be good. I'm curious to see. I worry that there's gonna be a little too much going on in Cap because we're gonna have GW Bridge.
Yep.
We're gonna have Red Hulk, and we have the leader, right? Like you could very easily tie them all together. Like I feel like GW Bridge is like the henchman pawn. Obviously, Red Hulk is the victim / secondary pawn, I guess, of the leader. But you gotta be careful with a villain like the leader because he's not like a physical villain, right? Like he's just like a mastermind, and like he could very easily be done cheesily. So you need to be careful.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm still excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it too. Anytime you have a Red Hulk, you gotta ask, is real Hulk gonna be there? Probably
right.
Not, but
probably not in this one. No.
Well, the Hulk's going to be tough to bring back in because of his son that they just decided to add in for no
reason. They just threw in at the end of She-Hulk, yeah,
which was a bad call, but at least as of now. But yeah, and then Thunderbolts looks really great. The trailers look really fun. We'll see if this leads into that, which would make sense.
Yeah.
And then Fantastic Four, the trailer was really excellent. The people asking such crazy questions. Like the truth is, they're going to find their way into 616. I know we talked about that last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's been cool. This is feeling good. So don't screw it up. Also got to say, DC, I'm wishing you the best, but I don't have a lot of faith in you.
From all reports, everything is hinging on this Superman film.
Yeah, that's even what's his name said that.
James Gunn said it. Folks, if this movie bombs, James Gunn might be out at DC. Like they might pull the plug on him. They might pull the plug on this immediately because I've also heard that he's ruffled a few feathers over there because he's very much trying to do a Marvel way of things over at DC, which honestly they could probably benefit from. But as somebody who again has had experience over there, and I get that it's been 7 years, and I get that it's different.
They've done nothing good since you left.
That's what I'm saying. They've done nothing to dissuade me from the idea that things are still the same over there, and that there's more infighting than there is actually any kind of leadership over there. And so I am hoping for James Gunn. I will go see that Superman film day one. But boy, am I worried about Warner Brothers in DC. And I do not care at all about the Robert Pattinson. I do not care about Batman 2.
I forgot it till you said it. So
I don't care about any
Superman has to hit, and I hope it's a good film. And I do trust James Gunn. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I think he's doing it. I think he's making it his own. I think he's making it in a way that'll play to his strengths. We talked about this before, where it's like the fact that he's bringing in Mr. Terrific and Green Lantern and Hawkgirl. He's making it an ensemble film, which plays to his strengths. The problem is that will that play to Superman's strengths as a character, and will the fans be open to that?
Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting. We will find out. It is a big year for the next 6 months. From February to August, we're going to have like 4 massive comic book films.
All which we will see, and we'll get back
all of which we will see, and eventually, and we will talk to you all about them. And yeah, so not next, no Captain America breakdown next week, but the week after. This way you all have some time to get in there and not be spoiled and whatnot. So, but I'm expecting a lot of video game talk next week.
Yeah, so, good.
Because I think we're gonna have some game announcements soon.
Next week will be hockey and gaming. Another great episode of the Geeks Who Like Sports. That's short episode.
Yeah, this was another great episode as well. Yeah, a quick one. Not as much news. Not a busy week. Super Bowl kind of dominated everything. Yeah. 59. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah.
That was a good commercial too, by the way. Just ending the show. I liked the show, the commercial with Matthew McConaughey going through the history with the concept for Uber Eats. That was pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, there were some good ones, but nothing super viral. And some of them got leaked. Some of the best ones to me actually got leaked beforehand.
Yeah, I don't think they're leaks. I think they just released them. I don't think there's any reason not to.
Like the Mountain Dew Seal commercial, which was weird, but also very memorable for I think all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it was weird. Here's the deal: they're paying $8 million per 30 seconds, right? It's like, why would you not release that on YouTube and
get just get as many people right? Exactly. Yeah. And then also the Shane Gillis cul-de-sac Bud Light commercial was that was very, very funny, but also released early. That was a lot of fun. And then Peyton Manning coming in. How many Bud Lights can you fit in that thing? As many as you need. It's a lot of Bud Lights.
Bud Light trying to make a comeback.
Trying.
Yeah, we went back America. That's what do we do? America. That's what their slogan is now.
I'm happy for Shane Gillis and his comeback.
Me too.
Yeah, he's a perfect spokesperson for them. So.
Beer. Period. Beer.
Well, I'm drinking coffee. No beer today, but I'm drinking my Dunkin' for the Dunkings.
The Dunkings, the box. Let me know how that breakfast is, buddy.
It's a sausage, egg, and cheese and hash browns, and
I like it. I like that they did it. Smart move.
It's honestly for $6. It's for a medium coffee, hash browns, and a sausage, egg, and cheese for $6. In today's economy, that's a steal.
Remember when you can get a whole $5 footlong? Not anymore.
These are the cheapest way to get eggs right now is the egg on the Dunkin' sausage, egg, and cheese.
You wish those were eggs.
Yeah, well, yeah. An egg like it tastes like an egg.
It looks like an egg.
It looks like an egg, but it's probably not an egg.
Oh, these duck eggs are really good. Anyway, good show.
Anyway, we have gone completely off the rails for the end of the show.
Choo choo.
For Lee, I am Ray. Thank you all for tuning in, everybody. If you go to the parade on Friday, stay safe. Have a good time. Enjoy it. Until next time, this has been Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.